In this era of self-defined identity, you and your people feel good about it. And that's what counts. Although objective facts tend to be pesky things, and they are not so easily dispensed with. You could have just let him continue with his Twitter actions and let the people judge. That's what the Constitution of your country enables them to do. And you interfered with that, and you haven't changed your mind, and you've doubled down instead, despite the revelation of your own company's clear and ongoing moral and practical inadequacy. Back to my situation. From the domain of more general concerns about censorship and carelessness, I have, frankly, found it a relief to be banished from the Twitter world. The anonymous trolls, psychopaths, narcissists, and Machiavellians allowed by your own inconsistent and psychologically inappropriate rules make operating there on any scale frustrating and anger-provoking beyond tolerance. The fact that you so casually enable that tiny minority of cowardly anonymous people who have nothing better to do than cause trouble by generating and promulgating the kind of derisive, contemptuous, LOL, LMFAO, bro, brah, dude comments that would get anyone who dared utter even one of them in person to their targets immediately punched in that mocking, cowardly, self-aggrandizing face, means that your platform represents a signal threat to the integrity of the discourse upon which the stability of your country and the mental health of its youth depend, as you have been directly warned by psychologists of great repute, such as Dr. Jonathan Haidt, as moderate and wise a learned person as you could hope to have for counsel. In consequence, I see very little evidence that you have the ability or the vision or the concern necessary to set the pathological den of serpents that you so apparently carelessly enable and govern straight. And that is a very dire problem, set to get much worse as this fall's crucially important elections loom. A very small minority of truly misbehaving people pose a constant threat to the integrity of society, as they eternally have. And your electronically mediated communication system, with its ultimately and oh so morally but exceedingly carelessly flattened social hierarchy, where anyone whatsoever, even someone who bears no responsibility and who wishes to continue that way, can say anything whatsoever to anyone they choose in any manner whatsoever, and can do so even if they literally do not exist and are lying outright in the most egregious and troublesome fashion imaginable, is doing nothing but magnifying their positively demonic voices and spreading the chaos those voices are evilly motivated to generate. I wouldn't claim that my behavior on Twitter was perfect, or indeed that any of my behavior is perfect. Twitter is a very difficult platform to use properly, and I have plenty to learn on that front. I didn't want to ignore Twitter despite its pitfalls, even though I probably should have, because for better or worse, your platform is a major social player and psychological/sociological phenomenon, one that I wanted to and needed to and felt a real responsibility to understand, and one that is impossible to understand, let alone master or diagnose, without its actual use. But I tweeted several thousand times to many millions of people, and only a vanishingly small percentage of those missives caused the kind of concern that might properly culminate in disciplinary actions, to say nothing of outright bannings, if they were conducted with a shred of decency and care. And I have taken very public steps to rectify and modify my inadequacies on the communication front. It is, therefore, by no means clear that you or those who help you run your benighted and blighted direct democracy, mob rule, psychopath-dominated communication platform have the moral standing to render the kind of arbitrary and careless judgment on the behavior of others you deem inappropriate, who also, just by coincidence, don't happen to share your progressive political views. You have, as noted previously, the technical right to do so, which you do and should. But on the moral front, you and Twitter have an awful lot to learn, and a clear and pressing responsibility to take action on that front, as the power of your platform is immense. And I think the actions of your company are, in the main, making things in the world much worse than they need to be. And I have thought deeply about it and talked to many wise and informed people about it as well, and they agree and are equally or more concerned. So, I am for that reason unwilling to quietly accede to your kind corrective, repetitive, insistent, and thoroughly public though it has been. I would also, in closing, like to reiterate my irritation at the facts that, 1, I was banned from your platform without anything other than a generic and self-serving low-resolution explanation. 2, that my appeal of that ban was ignored, even though my repetition of the aforesaid behavior was noted and acted upon within hours, if not minutes. 3, that your company's reasons for banning and manipulating or regulating the behavior of your users are utterly opaque, ineffectual, and self-contradictory. 4, that your own security personnel and potential investors or even purchasers of your company have been properly scared off by the chaos that reigns under your authority. 5, that you take to yourself the moral propriety necessary to continue censoring a former president of the United States, even as a critical election approaches, without knowing at all whether or not you are making even the situation under him that you object to worse instead of better, and have absolutely no reliable data pertaining to that possibility. And finally, 6, that your careless, censorious behavior and enabling of the anonymous Machiavellian narcissists and psychopaths who inhabit the Twitter troll underworld is warping and dementing the entire domain of public discourse. People who live in glass houses, Mr. Agrawal. And you might ask yourself, by the way, who cast the first stone?